Welcome back to Riff Arcade and Josh's episode of the Riff Resume, or the Riff-zame, if you will.
There it is. Josh, you are fired.
So, I was a young lad at the age of 3.
Kind of like
now,
this.
I don't know the exact...
Kind of like a
I
little,
don't
wee
know
little
the
Mario.
exact... Like you, I don't know the exact... Yeah, but I don't know the exact year. But, my parents just had a ColecoVision, which I looked this up, and this was incredible to me. But Coleco stands for Connecticut Leather Company. So... A leather company wanted to get in. This was part of what led to the video game crash of '82, was that just everyone, dadgummit. It's harder to focus when you're the one talking. It wasn't that everyone wanted to get in on the video game boom.
Now, just to clarify, the ColecoVision was not made of leather, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. It was not a video game console boot combo.
The Nintendo boot coming soon. Yeah. So
But,
all right. So you were. So you just like. Were you just exploring the attic and were like, "What's this?" Like you just found it, or were your mom and dad like,
No,
"Here, check this out."
Yeah, they had one hooked up and just like, well, here you go. And so
This will shut them up.
Yeah, I won't say that's where I got hooked on gaming, because those of you that know what the ColecoVision is, like the controller was basically a landline telephone with a joystick in the middle of it, and like that was how you played the games. And they had weird little overlays you could put over the controller to tell you what buttons did what, and it was just
interesting.
It was kind of a mess of a console. I mean, it's kind of a classic now, but even back then, it was just kind of a jumbledy jape of a console.
So like as if a leather company had made it.
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
And so I enjoyed it, but I still also enjoyed like playing outside. That didn't last long.
I still played outside for a while.
But then, when I turned 5 for my 5th birthday, so the year was 1990, April of 1990, my parents bought me, and technically my brother, a Nintendo with, you guessed it, Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt combo. It was the Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt combo. And I played that little thing. There are home videos of me just like sitting there with my face 2 inches from the screen, just like, ah.
You could jump.
Yeah, what is this magic?
You remember, did your parents ever tell you, like, get your face away from the screen, you'll burn your eyes out, like that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And my grandmother telling me, Nana was, always like, go outside.
Yeah, I love that, because now we're strapping VR to our faces, like literally an inch away. It's like, oh, no one's saying that now.
Yeah. Not even an inch away.
Yeah. It's worse than that, yeah, so.
But,
yes, you fell hard.
So then I fell hard, and so, I mean, pretty much back then you got 2 games, you could get 2 games a year on your birthday and at Christmas, and so you bet your bunions I did. So I remember my first few games were Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, we had Ghostbusters on the NES. Yeah, just... And then from there, unlike you butts, I did not take a break. From there, it was Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, N64.
Oh, I've seen
I was
I've seen your storage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
my storage.
Your Hall of Fame.
And so that being said, you've probably guessed from the consoles I just listed off, I was a Nintendo kid. I wasn't a Sega kid.
You have besmirched their name with that jump.
I did have a Sega Game Gear, like you. I did get a Game Gear somewhere in there, but other than that, it was straight Nintendo.
Yeah.
Including a Virtual Boy, which I'm proud to say I still have, right over there, just off camera.
Does it work?
One of the eyes went out, but I think it's just a solder job away from working again.
Oh, nice.
And middle was not correct. I'll try bottom.
Do you remember the first game
And
you ever
that's-
beat? Like straight to was it Mario? Was it this one?
No, it took me. I don't think I beat Mario till probably high school. This is not an easy game to beat. I shouldn't even be playing it right now. But we probably
You're
won't
not
beat it
ready.
on camera.
Yeah.
It's gonna get hard at some point. But the first game I beat. Well, okay, so I remember that early in my life, let's just say a Game Genie appeared for my Nintendo one birthday or Christmas.
Poof, what do you need?
So, with that, the beating of the games started happening.
yeah.
So,
An actual beating.
so
yeah.
like you, Butts, and I'm sure a lot of people at home, video games were not kind or user friendly
Oh my god, no.
in its earlier stages. So a lot of games, especially as a 5-year-old child, is just like, yep. I mean, like, I remember, like, the Ghostbusters game I mentioned. I remember just, like, making it to level 2 and just being like, my week has been made. Like,
Yeah.
so happy. Because that was it. It was never like a let's play it to beat it. It was always like a play it, see how far you get, and move on from there. And just back then, I don't know if you remember, Butts, but we were much more resilient at playing video games as kids. Because I'll play video games with my wife Andrea now, and it'll be maybe a game where there's no checkpoints or like saving is way far back, and like we'll have to start a level over, and she'll just be like, "Nope, turn it off. We're done."
Yeah.
Because like as a kid,
Well, it's just one of those like there wasn't save points or like start over here. It was like you beat the game by just either get good scrub, or memorizing like, all right, they attack up and they go left and they go down and they go like,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing.
Gummit. Yeah, exactly. So it's like repetition. Like you learn to beat it through repetition.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, back then, you know, we were resilient. So I would just like, I'd wake up, you know, like during summer break. Oh, I miss summer break so much. Anyway,
Yeah. God, adulting
like
is the
during
worst.
summer break, yeah, like you'd, like I'd wake up early in the morning, turn on like Super Mario Brothers, throw myself at it, get a game over, start back at World 1-1, and just like go straight back to it, just like till lunch, just throw myself at it over and over again, just like Mario carcasses piling up.
Yeah. Please stop. I remember every
It's
one
not
of these.
fun anymore.
It hurts so much.
I feel every single one.
What are you, 5? This is 10. Oh, he's 5. Oh, please stop.
So, ooh,
Nice.
I love it. All right. So, speaking of being 5, all right.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, you got shot.
Yeah, he just got shot by a bullet.
That's not how bullets work.
Where was I? I digress. So yeah, so I bought a Game Genie one of those years, and then yeah, I finally got to see what credits looked like in video games, and that was, oh no. I was gonna try a high jump, and the timing did not work out on either of those. Oh goodness, one life. I gotta tell my story quick or play better.
You've only had 25 years to work on it, so. Okay. So what were you saying
Listen,
about
this
like
story
you,
might-
yeah, you just went back to World
Yep.
1?
So as I was saying, we're gonna be resilient and just throw myself right back at this.
Boom.
So I finally saw some credits after I bought the Game Genie. So cutting to sort of general tastes, like we were kind of talking. I'll use some warps this time. That's what I'll do. So you said you were more of a Western gamer. So I'm more what I consider to be an Eastern gamer. So I like more swords and fantasies and RPGs. Like I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. Started with 7. Well, no, technically it started before 7, but 7 was the one that got me hooked. But one year, I remember specifically, it was I think my cousin Joe bought me Final Fantasy Legend 2 for the Game Boy, which technically is not a Final Fantasy game. It's a
but it's in the title.
No, it's a Saga game, I think. It was originally... Well, so in Japan, it was part of the Saga series, or the Mana series, I can't remember. And then when it got ported to the US, they slapped Final Fantasy on it, because more people knew what Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
because money,
was here. Yeah. So that was technically the very first Final Fantasy I played, and I liked it. I mean, I liked that as a Game Boy game. I remember it lasted me... Once again, that was a game that took me years and years and years to beat, because I couldn't beat it until I developed a brain that could beat video games.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was hard as a kid, because I was like, I'd play Zelda, and it'd be like, you got the boomerang, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, then you got the candle. I'm like, well, I don't want a candle. I want something cool. So like, then I just got bored, because I was like, it was giving me candles and sticks and stuff, and I didn't realize that, oh, you take the candle and do something with it.
Yeah.
My dumb little kid brain.
Like, I remember even with Final Fantasy Legend 2, I remember I found out very early on that you could run away from battles. So I was always just like, oh, you can run away from fights? So every single fight, I was just like, just like every single time a fight came up. Which, as you all know now, means I ended up, I would get to really hard bosses at level 2, yeah. And,
You were not ready for that fight.
So it took me a while to beat that one, but I did like that game. That game was really cool. So yeah, and then I played Final Fantasy VII. That was my first main numbered Final Fantasy, and that's what really got me hooked on the Final Fantasy series.
Genre. Yeah, I didn't play turn-based
so
until after college, but I really liked them. I was just like, oh, this is a thing you can do? Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. And so I remember even when you and Spence were like, oh, there's this game, Fallout 3. You got to play Fallout 3. It's so cool. And then, like, I was just about to buy Fallout 3, and I saw Elder Scrolls Oblivion on the shelf, and I was like, I could buy Fallout 3, or... So then, like, I was telling you and Spence, I was like, I changed my mind, I bought Oblivion, and y'all were like, why? And then I finally bought Fallout 3 later on, but yeah, I had to get me some sword and shield action in first.
Sword and board guy, yeah. It's got guns, Josh, come on! Super mutants?
Well, that's
you could steal from
what
children?
Fallout 3 is. It's Elder Scrolls with guns.
That's
what Fallout 3 is. And so, that's where my general preferences lie. Let's see.
No wonder I can't get you to play Mass Effect. It's like, nah, nope. too futuristic, nope.
I remember there was a flash sale where they bought, where I bought 1, 2, and 3 for $5 total, not each, total. Yeah. And I still haven't played 2 or 3. I beat 1.
2, yeah. 2's the best. Anyway. Yeah.
And then stop.
Yeah. No, you can play 3. It's just I have complex feelings about the end of 3, so just say that.
Yeah.
We'll get that into our Mass Effect podcast. So you don't remember the first game you beat. So you
no,
just
but it
fell
was,
into
it was somewhere in the neighborhood.
7.
It was somewhere in the neighborhood of like that Ghostbusters 2, Super Mario. Well, it wasn't Super Mario Brothers. For some reason, I never tried to beat that one with a Game Genie. But it was probably like Dick Tracy, something like that.
Well, there's a pull. Tell him about
the NES.
Tell him about the your Final Fantasy VII, like the spoiler thing that you had for it. Like, didn't you say you bought Final Fantasy on a whim? You were like, well, let me try this game out, and it was Final Fantasy VII, and like one of the greatest games of all time, and then you had something spoiled for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was in.
Spoiler for Final Fantasy VII.
I was in. Yeah, which there's a remake coming out. So if you're planning on playing the remake and you haven't, and you don't know the story, be careful. This is a spoiler. But yeah, I had a friend and like I was playing it, and I was in middle school because of course it was middle school.
Yeah.
Stupid middle school. Even in middle school, I was like, ugh, middle school kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, some kid, I was like, he was like, oh, you're playing Final Fantasy? I am too. Have you gotten to the part where Aeris dies yet? And I was like, Oh,
What? Yeah.
thank you. And actually, since then, I think that was when I went from not caring about spoilers to where now I'm like really, like, I'll get angry if people spoil stuff for me. Like even when like Endgame just came out, and Butts was like, "All right, I'm gonna go watch that on Friday," and I was like, "Do not talk to me, do not text me until I've seen it on Saturday night."
Oh yeah.
And you didn't.
I did not. Yeah, I
did good.
Turned my phone off and was like, I really want to text Josh, but I'm not.
Blocked my number.
I wasn't even like, I made sure not to text you even like, hey, have a good day, like that kind of thing. I was just like, all right,
Yeah.
I will see you on Saturday. You let me know when I can talk to you.
Yep. Here we are at this hammer
You're
bro
on your
again.
own, man.
Wow, I got back here fast.
This bugger.
So yeah,
Nice,
now I'm
very
a
good.
big anti-spoiler guy.
Well, I love it how like you on a whim you bought one of the greatest games of all time, and he had the greatest
Yeah,
spoiler of all time spoiled on a
box looked
whim.
cool.
So it was like, oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's how I bought Metroid for the Game Boy. I was just like, hey, that box looks really cool. I want to play as that guy. Spoiler.
That fella there. That dude.
Yep.
No!
They want revenge.
I made a Hammer Brothers situation, like stirring up a bee's nest.
I do have one of my great shames is that since I bought a Game Gear, the first game I beat was Kirby, for the Game Boy, but then I bought a Game Gear on a whim just to be like, oh, it was on sale. It's like a Game Boy upgraded. Cool, all right. But my great shame is the second game I ever beat was like a Power Rangers fighting game. So it was like, well, that doesn't feel as good looking back. I mean, at the time I was like, I beat a game, yeah! Like I felt like super, accomplished.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, it's Power Rangers. Who cares? I
have to admit, I'm sure a lot of us are kind of jaded to video games these days. Like I know I don't get like the exact same thrill as I was when I was a kid. Except for like, I will say, I think that's what Dark Souls kind of gives to us as adults, is like that feeling of like beating something after throwing yourself at it. I think that's why people love Dark Souls so much.
That's why I do.
Recreates.
Yeah.
I think it kind of recreates those NES days where like you just do that repetition and just throw yourself at a boss until you beat it, and then when you beat it, your heart's pounding and you're just like, yes.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like you could go into Fallout and find or
insult entry.
or you can jump. Yeah, like you could walk around Fallout and find a great gun, and then fight a boss that's supposed to be hard and be like, oh, I got a really good gun. This is not that.
Oh no.
Insult,
Go
insult.
on, continue. Sorry.
Well, like that's the thing. Is like, oh, I'll build up my equipment, then I'll go fight the boss, and I have good equipment. That's why I won. But in Dark Souls, it's like, no, if you beat the boss, you beat the boss. It wasn't any of your equipment. It was because you learned the boss, you fought the boss, you did what you were supposed to, you stuck it out, and like that's hard to recreate in games. Like I'm playing through the Surge right now.
Oh no.
Which is
Oh no.
Nope. Which is kind of like Dark Souls, but futuristic. Like it's all about, robots and things like that. But it's just not the same. It's just hard to replicate.
Yeah.
We'll do it. I was going to say we'll do a Dark Souls one day. I'm like, I don't know about that, but we have to buy some. That same one. We have to get some equipment for that, but. But yeah. So and then you have just always going back to you for a minute.
Yes.
You
yes.
This episode's going long too.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Like you have something that I cannot do. Like I cannot play more than one game at a time. Like if I play a game, I'm in on that game. But I know you're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this game, this game, this game, and this game, and I'm like, nope.
And I try to only do. I'm having to focus. So I try to only do like one story-based game at a time. I try not to do multiple. Oh, I do not care for this situation.
Bowser's happy about it.
I try not to do more than one story-based game. Like I'll do multiple. I'll do multiple like simple games like this or Scribble Knots. Like I can do multiple of that stuff at a time, but I always try to do one RPG.
The motion
this episode's going to end when I die or beat this castle. So, okay, there it is. All right. So I say let's go ahead and call this episode. I don't think I have much more of my tale. If you have any more questions for myself or Butts, ask in the comments section of whatever media platform you're using. Let us know. And I didn't really plan to beat this game as a series. I just kind of wanted to have it on since it sort of represents a classic moment from history for us to kind of talk about our
Everyone knows
histories.
Mario, yeah.
So if you want us to try to beat Mario and just throw ourselves at it, then let us know in the comments. But otherwise, I think we're going to call that a series. So,
Boom,
Butts,
done.
do you have anything to add?
No, it's just video games are fun. They're fun things.
All right, cool. All right,
Please
we'll see you next
please keep following
time
us.
right here. Yeah, we'll see you next time on Riff Arcade. So long, everybody.